IVM.
Are you cheerful today, Farhad?
Oh, we are diving directly into that. No, I'm not cheerful.
Damn, I really thought that maybe for a change, you'd be the optimistic one, and I'd be like
because
this.
we had a
this
2-minute
Debbie
talk
Downer.
before. We had a
Yeah,
2-minute talk before.
you sounded like you were like
यार
upbeat.
मैं क्या बोलूं आजकल I've become that person where I can be बाहर से I'm एकदम Jack Black, Robin Williams, but अंदर से I'm Linkin Park, like क्या चल रहा है?
Okay.
I can't understand what's going on anymore. Like what the fuck?
Oh my God!
But what's happening? Why is it feel okay?
Just
why
really
like
tiring. Like I mean, this has nothing to do with what's happening, like around us. It's just like
in the world.
like just generally, it's been a bit of a tiring week that I've had. Like exhausting, to be honest. Just by virtue of like the quantum of work and juggling, and plus like a couple of things on the personal front, like I lost a cousin, so
no.
yeah, like things like that. I don't know why I said it so lightly. I mean, he was a cousin who I was really fond of. So the thing is, the way I deal with death is someone's death doesn't pull me down. What pulls me down is when I see people associated with that person, how they are getting affected. So
I got it.
So that, just like a mishmash of different things, but it's not like I don't have happy things to think about. To top the list, I'm going to be losing my virginity next weekend, like this coming weekend.
Get out! Don't even tell me that.
Oh my God! Like finally.
I just found out that I'm going to go another month without sex. And not by choice. Because even I was starting to feel lax. Dude, today the hottest fucking guy. Okay, first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss. Let's start there. I'm so sorry for your loss. I'm so sorry I'm saying that while laughing, actually. That's terrible. But
I mean,
sorry for your loss. That's fuck all.
It's sad, but yeah,
I was
life
just going to
happens.
segue into how this ultra hot guy messaged me today and I almost...
But there is no segue. There is,
dude, he's flawless. He's beautiful, right? But here's the deal. Okay, first, a little sad news on my end, for me at least, not for anyone else. I found out last Saturday that I'm pre-diabetic. So, because, I'm 35 and I thought like, oh my God, I'm at an age where I've never got a blood test and I don't know what my cholesterol is and lipids and triglycerides, all of that shit.
So what does this change though for you?
It changes nothing on some level because what I have, like my insulin or whatever, it's really fuck all right now. But the thing is, it's at a point where I can entirely reverse it.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also, I mean, it's a matter of a lot of things, right? Like one is obviously your body as in physiologically.
Sure.
But then there is a lot that like insulin has a lot of fallout from stress and anxiety and stuff like that.
All of it. So I've already made the first important change, which is I started intermittent fasting again to regulate my insulin.
Yeah.
But long story short, I not only found out that I'm, it's just now I feel like, this is another feather in my cap, for a boy to not like me.
Fuck that.
No, I don't know. In my head, for a second.
First and foremost, who's sharing? Like, why will you be sharing the fact that you're pre-diabetic with anyone you're sleeping with?
Here's the deal. My dad's been my dad's been a borderline diabetic all his life. Okay. So either he's had to deal with low sugar issues or too much sugar issues,
Yeah, but like your dad obviously wasn't like, I'm sure it did hamper his dating life.
No, it did not. But he wasn't on Grindr and Tinder and he did not know how cutthroat everything is now.
But what I'm trying to say is that it's like having a knee pain, like, or like,
Sure.
Yeah, like this has nothing to do with like that's in your head. Sure, you have symptoms, but like that's in your head.
Yeah.
So chill.
No. Again, and honestly, I was more worried because you know how I eat and stuff. I'm a foodie and all.
Hmm.
So I was kind
Yeah.
of more worried about cholesterol and shit, but they all came normal. So I
Hmm.
was like, chalo. The main, it's like, when you give your exams and you feel like, oh my God, मैं math में पक्का fail होने वाला हूँ. But you kind of just pass and you're like,
Yeah.
okay, So
Huh.
I feel that. Secondly, I'm getting my COVID test done day after
Hmm.
tomorrow
Hmm.
because I might be going to Pune for a month because I miss my dad too much.
Hmm.
So I know for a fact that if I go to Pune, like after my COVID test comes back, I cannot interact with anyone because I need to
Hmm. Yeah.
isolate
Yeah.
myself
Yeah.
with my dad.
Of course.
So
Yeah.
I automatically know it's going to be 1 month of like another
Celibacy.
month of no jiggy jiggy. Yeah, who used to say jiggy jiggy? I picked it up from some
I have
movie.
no idea.
In some movie, some Gujarati guy once, instead of sex, I know he said jiggy jiggy. And
What?
it stuck in my head.
Oh, jeez.
But yeah, so no boys for another month. But today I almost caved in. And he was so beautiful. I'm not kidding, Sunetro. Like, sometimes a boy is so beautiful that even though you have no idea if this person's an asshole, if they are a dick, if they're a nice person, if they're funny, you don't know anything about them. You've just seen their pictures, you've just seen their Instagram, and you're like, holy shit, how the fuck did this boy fall in my stratosphere today? And he
Hmm.
messaged me even more, all the right kind of muscles, the right kind of tattoos, speaks very well, all of that. It's all like up there, okay? But yeah, he said, do you want to meet up today? And I had to say no. I had to say
Hmm.
no to Mr. Right.
Mr. Right now or Mr. Right?
Right now. Yeah, everyone's
Yeah.
been Mr. Right now since 2012 to me. Actually, I don't know why I'm saying that. I did date for 5 years in between.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did want to talk about this further because I got this suggestion from 2, 3 people, mainly a friend of mine called Ishan, and he was like, hey, can you talk about this whole like what our idea of the perfect man is?
Hmm.
And I just wanted to know if you want to explore that as a conversation
Yep.
because I can totally piss in this bonfire right from the get-go.
Saying what?
Saying that the older I get, the more I realize it's less about finding Mr. Right and more towards working to be Mr. Right for someone else. You know what I
Mm,
mean? Like,
I
does that
mean,
make sense?
no, because I don't think it's a choice. It's not this or that. You have to work towards both. Like, you can't just say, हाँ, कोई भी आ जाएगा as long as I'm like happy
Dude,
with
I'm so
myself.
there
Like,
in life
like
right now where I feel if anyone gets me in their life, they are lucky as fuck.
great.
I don't know if that is cocky, if that is too much
Yes, it
self-love.
is.
Is it?
Yes, it
Is
is.
it?
Yes.
Yeah, no,
Of
yeah.
course it
Except
is.
the diabetes.
Fuck that.
I feel I'm pretty like the full fucking package, bro. Like in every sense, I feel like in
Hmm.
terms of appearance, in terms of what I bring to the table, humor. Maybe I like to believe that I'm a little mature and wise in that sense. So I
Hmm.
feel like I'm the complete package. So I feel I should be Mr. Right to someone else, and that I should stop looking because looking for Mr. Right so far has proved pretty futile for me. What
But
has
you've
your
not looked for
experience been?
Mr. Right. That's the thing. Like I think we've had this conversation. Are you looking for Mr. Right? Or are you looking for Mr. Right now? If you're looking for
I
Mr.
am
Right,
looking for someone to be with now. Like it's more than sex for me now.
so
Really,
so
like
then
I
what are
have
you
to.
looking for? Let's unspool that. What are you
Oh my
looking for?
god.
When you're saying someone to be with, what does
Yeah.
that translate into?
Uh. Uh. Okay. It's basically I've had too many Mister Right Nows. Yeah. But what I've not had in ages now. Okay, in years is just someone I can be intimate with, be myself around, and I've
But
always been
but
myself.
see this you can do with anyone. In terms of what you are describing is an act between two
Ari,
people.
intimacy means not again. I'm not like
No, no,
surface level
no,
sexual
no, no. I'm not
intimacy or
saying that.
even
No. I'm not saying that. I'm saying I'm not. What I'm saying. What I'm trying to get at is that what you're describing is the relationship you would share with someone, and which is almost a blueprint for relationships overall. But
Okay.
who are you looking for? What kind of a person would make you feel like going there is the question.
That's the thing, yeah, because it's such a tough question to answer. Like, okay,
No, and
if you
again,
had to answer
you
your own
can't have
question,
an
you go for it
archetype.
first. You go for it.
Okay, so for me, there are a couple of things that just are very important, almost pit stops. And again, I think when I say this, that might just be, oh, so the whole gay community has these pit stops. But one of the things is being able to share trauma, irrespective of that person. If that person has been
Has been
through
through trauma themselves.
as no, I'm not saying, I mean, if someone's not been through trauma, then honestly mere saath to nahi patega. Like
Oh, that's
like
so,
that's just too
oh.
much. That's just too much, like,
So you want someone who, to some
no.
extent, had been damaged and has worked on
No,
it.
because it comes with that comes empathy. So that's what I'm
Okay,
trying to
okay,
talk about. The fact that someone's gone through any kind of trauma, and I'm not talking about it has to be the magnitude has to match mine, or my magnitude has to match theirs.
uh,
But when you have gone through similar traumas, that's
uh,
that's when you're empathetic and not
okay,
sympathetic, and
okay.
you don't stand on a pulpit, or you don't stand
When you
on
say
a
that, you mean
higher pedestal.
sympathetic in terms of like someone who
Like
doesn't pity you.
yeah, like basically
Okay,
you're standing on a higher pedestal, and then you're
okay,
giving like espousing, like, oh, why don't you do this? It's like saying do things for yourself when you're actually in the pits of depression. Like,
yeah,
when someone says that, I feel like slapping
uh,
that person and saying, bistar se to jago pehle, like, shit like that. So essentially one is that sense of empathy, understanding, of traumas, understanding of people's struggles. Second is, I think, again, a large part of these points would be adjacent, I would say, someone who has struggled somewhere in
yeah,
life,
that's a great measure to
um
know how well the
yeah,
person has emotionally
has
developed.
yes, has lived
Yeah,
by themselves, has
yeah.
lived away from parents, has
See, but that's
worked.
the thing, no, Shumetra, when you say something like this, in my head, what I feel, there is a mold in my head or some kind of a void of a certain shape, and then I have to fit a person in that. And I just don't, I don't know why I find that tough to imagine at all.
So here's the thing. My When I say has lived away from parents, that becomes
Ah,
different. But someone who's lived their own life, and
yeah,
someone who's had their own share of struggles,
yeah.
uh, basically has been on a journey of self-sufficiency, self-dependence. For me, that's a like a non-negotiable. Like, for me, I
Like
have
that's a
been
mandate. Is that what you're saying?
I mean, I have been around people. I have
Okay,
tried dating people who weren't the same,
okay,
and it just I figured that these are things that don't work for me. That
sure.
it just, when someone hasn't done this, when someone hasn't gone through their own journey, there's tremendous amount of and I will sound extremely judgmental here, but there is a large amount of uh, just, how do I put it, silver spoon, like it just comes with
So,
I have
yeah.
the right to stuff, like,
Uh,
privilege, things like that. So I know this might offend people, but that's what I've experienced in my life. And maybe it's not, it's a general, it can't be a generalization, of course,
sure, sure.
but that has been my experience. So these are a couple of things.
See,
The
but that's the
other
funny thing. When you say all the things that you say, the more I think about in an attempt to answer your original question, right? For
hmm,
me, I realize that it's more future based, which is again futile to think about the future because who knows. But I feel like someone who shares a common goal, and that goal, not only like physically manifesting goals like, oh, I want to travel the world someday, you want to travel the world someday, you're Mr. Right. No, I mean like common goals of just, how do I say this? But like, first of all, for me, the most important thing is I have learned that if the person is of value to me, I realize the first thing I do is I start growing as an individual. So, like basically dating a fertilizer. Like, I feel if a person helps me grow and I'm constantly feeling this innate feeling to make them a better person, I know I've got something real, and
Hmm.
that is an indication or a litmus test for me to know that, okay,
Sure, sure.
this is Mr. Right. Again,
No,
I
I mean,
hate the
Mr.
term
Right,
Mr.
first and
Right
foremost,
because
because
I
there is so much perfection in that word, and I'm not looking for perfection, first and
and
foremost.
it's leave alone distance from perfection. I feel it's like far, far from it because again, having done the drill of multiple relationships, I have repeatedly innately learned that Mr. Right only happens when you start dating a person who you don't think is, first of all, Mr. Right, or you don't put them in that kind of a bracket, and then how you both work towards building something together. You know
No,
what I
so
mean?
my
Like,
approach, I mean, okay, I differ there because
okay.
I first and foremost don't think that in any which way we don't start out with a mold. What we are doing is making sure that there are some points that are ticked, which are
Huh.
like non-negotiables
Certain
for us.
criteria is met.
Certain criteria is met, which are like non-negotiables for us in terms of, because by experience we know it's like learning on a job, like there are certain things that will not work, and then for the future you always make sure that those points you remember. So
Yeah.
like for me, for example, um just the way you feel like that person has to help you, like in very effortless ways, cause you to thrive. For me, that thing is, I need to feel like I'm with an equal. The
Okay.
moment I feel like, and equal as in largely, I need to feel like this person's an equal. Obviously, there are always moments where one person, like I can curl up to him, that person can curl up to me, but we need to feel like we are
There's a
equal
balance.
partners. Yes.
Yeah.
Every single time I've tried out a relationship where my partner has been
Uh,
a superior or a subordinate in terms of you know a large
Got
age
it. There's
gap,
always a imbalance, like a skew.
it's just I
Why do you think
either
that happens? So many times I feel like when we get into relationships, there's always this one person who's more invested or more into it than the other person. Why do you think that happens?
because no
I
two
don't know.
people are
I'm
alike.
sorry. I'm suddenly just asking such a heavy question.
Like, yeah,
But
because I mean, which I that's a fact, honestly. You will have to
am I right
contend
to
with.
make that assumption? That does happen, right? Like,
I feel that happens in every relationship, no matter how perfect.
yeah.
Because
But
like
again,
for
the
me, I
one,
have always been the lesser invested person in all my relationships, because I've
yeah,
always been invested, but like also I also keep my distance a little bit, like little aloof,
Soda,
like it
huh,
like my relationship doesn't define me,
yeah, yeah,
sort of a
yeah,
thing.
yeah.
So and that's a given, and that doesn't
Yeah.
make someone more powerful, that doesn't make someone weaker.
Upper hand or lower hand,
Yeah.
basically.
It's for me, what I mean by equals is equals in terms of conversations and decisions,
Uh,
like if we are talking about life decisions, and each of our says matter.
mm, mm,
We can have, instead of saying, so I will tell you how your life is going to go, I will be your guide, because there are relationships which work like that, and again, it works for people. For
mm,
me,
mm.
this is what works. So
Okay,
yeah, like a relationship of equals,
sure.
that's another,
Yeah, I don't
like,
know.
non-negotiable.
Somehow, like I've said this before, also, I think that somehow in all my relationships, I've always somehow, without wanting it, ended up with the upper hand. In fact, today when I was talking to my flatmate, I don't know why I had this realization that if I was a manipulative person,
Hmm.
would I know that? Because somehow or the other, I always get things my way, or, it's never a my way or the highway, but somehow or the other, I always end up where I am the person who the other person is always trying to please or make up to, and I'm the lesser interested one. But I have to say, talking about what we just spoke about, like in my previous, most I feel successful relationship so far, I felt like this cue was always like when he was too into it, maybe I might not have been. But then there was a phase where I was really too into it, and then he wasn't. And not in a like a skirty way. How do I say this? But like there was always that kind of balance, where this time my problem is bigger, so all the attention goes this side. But then his problem suddenly, eventually, something happens, and then our attention is diverted towards making that problem go away together as a unit. I felt like in that sense, I always felt like, yeah, sure, I desire this whole equal thing too. But somehow or the other, I've just always felt guilty that I feel like there is something I do knowingly or unknowingly or subconsciously being manipulative, where I feel like I always end up getting things my way. Whether it's like from something basic like what's for dinner to like larger life decisions. And it really annoys me when that happens. Like, I don't know how I find myself in that corner each time. Because to get rid of that, then, where I constantly don't want to be the upper hand, means constantly telling the other person to stop smushing up to me, and it's never been pleasant. It's never been pleasant. But and a lot of times I just try to think, because I'm a realist, that's why this person is not being able to see that I'm just real. And I don't know, sometimes I feel like, fuck, I don't think I'm someone's Mr. Right. I started this conversation with, oh my god, I am the perfect person and all of that, but right now I don't feel very perfect suddenly.
Does a physicality matter in like charting out this?
It does, man. It does. But it's also been one of my biggest struggles, like moving away from.
Yeah, because whenever you describe a guy, you literally like first describe like the. No. Forget twink. Like you over describe that person's looks. Like, so. Yeah, I've noticed that.
Yeah, I'm trying so hard to move away from that. Because again, I'm repeatedly learning that there have been instances where I'm not attracted to someone, but I've hung out with them enough to suddenly find certain nuances or certain things they do attractive. And eventually I start finding them attractive, but I don't give myself time to explore that. And this is something I've battled with in a way where I only now can wait for the pandemic to end to see how I will be post that, because life is on hold right now. And these are things that I'm ready to, like, again, whether it's exploring a new relationship, finding a new guy, finding whatever, or having something meaningful, deeper, whatever it is. I can't do any of that right now. And it's going to be such a fucking fry, because again, once this pandemic ends, I believe everyone is going to, if not already, everyone is going to go on this sex binge, and everybody's going to be NSA and not looking for anything serious, because everybody just wants to suddenly have sex all over again. So I don't know what the date on that is, but at least if you ask me what I'm looking for, I'm looking for something meaningful. And in terms of physicality, I really need to stop, like, I tend to project. It's a problem I've had a lot of times, and I'm quite honest about it. A lot of times, if I find a person attractive in my head, I attach qualities that are nothing to do like with their appearance to them that make them a better person in my head than they really are, if that makes sense. So like, suddenly, if I find a person attractive, even though it has nothing correlated to how understanding they are, but I will, somewhere in my head, I'll be like, oh, this person's so understanding. This person has such a good sense of humor. This person has I do that a lot. And it's something I talk about in, should I say the word? Therapy. Yeah, I do it so often, but I keep trying to break out of that cycle. And it's actually a tough cycle to break out of. Because so many times, when I realize I have actually come too far down this road is, let's say I talk to my other gay friends, yeah, and they tell me, oh my God, I've been chatting with this cute guy, and I'm like, show me a picture. And my first reaction was like, really? This guy? Like, oh, what do you like about this guy? I do that, and
suddenly I'm like, hey, everybody can't find what I find attractive.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
these things don't come to me easily. Like
Hmm.
life things or philosophically, I sometimes feel I'm more sorted, but in these sort of like gay ways, I think I've got a long way to go, a long way to
Hmm.
mature. Because
Hmm.
in the end, I just keep falling in this twink trap again and again and again. And then looking for Mr. Right in that section of the store, it's
Hmm.
like you go to Crossword and you entirely skip the politics section, maybe. I don't know.
Hmm.
The book section which nobody reads, self-help. I don't know. You just skip that section.
Whatever
It's like
that is.
that. Yeah, it's the section nobody reads, and I know I should not be in that section anymore because what I'm looking for, I know I won't find in that section. It's like
Yeah, I
looking for
mean, it
recipes
reminds
in.
me. It just reminds me. My God, what did my voice just do? It reminds
Yeah,
me.
yeah, it is fun. It is fun.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of. Fuck you, Farhad. It reminds me. Shit, it reminds me of this friend. Okay, how many times did I say it reminds me? Um, it reminds me
Say
of.
it again.
Oh my God, shut up.
Okay, one last time. For
Fuck
world
you.
hunger. For world hunger. Say it one last time.
It reminds me of this friend of mine who would constantly, he would constantly talk about, oh, I'm not finding the right guy and stuff like
Yeah.
that. I want to connect with someone, and and
Uh,
and then I would see the guys he's like, getting together with. He
uh,
was literally just looking for like a mutton chop, like
muscular
that.
buff.
That's it. Like, and then I would ask him that, so did you have, before getting together, was there any other criteria? I mean, his response was, I mean, I thought we would get beyond that and then
Mm.
we would start talking. I'm like, basically, you've not rearranged your criteria. If
Uh,
you've not rearranged your criteria, then how do you expect the men will adhere to that criteria,
sure, sure. And that's the thing, right? These are the one of those instances where you have to meet the universe halfway for it to meet you.
I
So until
agree.
you move in that direction, you will keep falling. And I know it because right now, when you tell me about your friend, I kind of totally relate to what he's going
Mm,
through. Because it's tough to break out of. It's almost like a weird, I don't want to use the word
yeah.
addiction, but it's like every time I'm trying to like build, and I feel like again life is on hold right now. I feel like I've made good online bonds right now
Hmm, hmm,
that
hmm.
if they formalized into real life, I know these are all like people who have spoken to enough to want to explore something deeper and
Got it.
real and
Yeah.
meaningful and fruitful and all of those things. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I have, and it sounds so like cheap to even say that I've lined up, like
But that's
people
how
to do
life
that.
works. You think other people aren't doing the same.
Yeah, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. The thing is, the moment now, these are people who I have not thought of attractiveness first, but I've just actually I really like these men
Hmm.
that I'm talking about, or boys,
Okay.
or whatever. But
Okay.
one fucking cute guy trapezes somewhere on an Instagram suggestion or something, and suddenly I just feel like my Pavlovian response is to drool when I see that. You know what I mean? And I
Hmm.
still feel like no, I'm still a work in progress. I'm still incomplete like that because I don't know how to turn this flame down and stop being attracted to that. I really try to get under the psyche of it because
Hmm.
I once read in a book that a lot of times older men prefer twinks and stuff. I read this as a theory in one of my favorite books actually called Velvet Rage, where because we come from an age of shame, we come from an age of discretion and being discreet and all of that. So a lot of times it's also, I hate saying this, but it's also called the Michael Jackson syndrome. I don't know. Like a lot of times when you've not had something in your childhood, you seek that as an adult, you know?
Hmm.
And a lot of times I feel what happens is we tend to like, because you did not have that growing up and you had to put up this face or facade of being straight for your family or for your friends, and then you went through girlfriends and whatever, you catch up late in life and then you feel you need to start from point A again. So in some sense, you tend to get attracted to younger boys only because when you were younger, you were not living that life. And we know
Hmm.
that with every generation, younger people are more liberated now, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Like
Yeah.
they're more vocal, they're more open about their sexuality, they're telling their parents, they don't give a shit what their parents might think.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
Like, and I love that. I love that. So I feel like in that sense, psychologically, I don't feel like I'm going through that because I was always out and open and honest and transparent about my sexuality since forever, you know? So I know it's not that. It's just sometimes I feel like if I figure it out, why do I keep falling into this? So again, I'm going on and on about what attracts me, but like, yeah, I need to. If it comes down to physicality, like what is there a criteria in Mr. Right related to physicality that I desire? I'm trying to break that like an oil well, dig to the foundation and change that, you know? I'm really trying to change that. So it's not a definite answer, but I really am aiming towards that.
Yeah, I mean, that seems fair. And on that note, we'll take a short, tiny break and then we'll be back.
We'll be back. Okay, we'll see you on the other side. Bye. Why do we still bye? No bye. Come back, guys.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to an amazing, awesome, excellent, extraordinary week on the IVM Podcast Network. If you aren't following us on social media, please do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. I'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Intel, for supporting us. Great week on the network. If you haven't been listening, why haven't you been listening? You should be listening. Rohan Joshi was on Uncle Please Sid, discussed the toxicity of the Indian pop culture. Really fun conversation to listen to. Rajiv Samant, the founder of Sula Wines, was on Cyrus Says. Again, I think that was a fun conversation. Also want to call out the season finale of Yuddha. Yuddha is our military history podcast. Definitely do check that out. It's a really great listen. And finally, I want to just remind you all that, you know, it's a dark time, but if you need a smile, go check out the Smile India podcast by Shifa Mehtra. It's in both English and Hindi, and I think that you will really enjoy the kinds of things that she's talking about there. And with that, let's get you back to your show.
And we're back. And so,
you know, every time you say it like that, I think of that Eminem song. And I'm back with a bang and ovulating. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I get your point.
Do you feel in the past you've had a Mr. Right? If you had to think of a relationship, an isolated relationship, do you feel like you've brushed past someone who defined Mr. Right for you in your head?
So this is how I approach relationships. Okay, every single relationship for me till date, like barring one, I don't see them as failures and I don't see them as things that I need to rectify. And for me, and I know that there will be issues in every relationship that I embark on. So I feel like in every relationship, just the way every person can't have every single, like no one is perfect. The same way every relationship isn't perfect. And if you maybe line up all the relationships till the day you die, like, you know, all the relationships you embark on till the day you die, maybe you will have some semblance of an idea of what that perfect relationship is in accumulation. Otherwise it's not. So that's how I look at relationships. So which is why for me, can I say there were some relationships which were more pleasurable than the other? Of course, yes. But can I say that one was this yardstick that I need to follow? No. Because
Because you don't want that to be an imprint of something you might look for in the future.
It really isn't. It really isn't for me. Because
it's such a common mistake so many neighbors and my friends make, you know, where they try to look for something that did not work out in the past. And I'm like, why do you do that? Like, it's crazy that you think that two absolutely different events will be identical to each other when you are entirely with a different person. It's not going to play out the same way.
No, and the only thing that I've seen as a commonality among all, and maybe I'll sound very conceited when I say this, but the only thing that I see as a commonality was that all of my partners have been, and partners as in like really not the 2 month, 1 month, like all of them,
some kind of depth
with was super smart. Like they were very cerebral. Like today, if I have a conversation with each of them, like they would tickle my pickle, like, you know, like that. And at the root, I think that's where that's what I look for. You know, it's a conversation that sparks an interaction and engagement that sparks off something very intangible. Like it's not about the looks. It's more about how the interaction makes me feel. Because
Sure.
if I line up all my exes, no two exes look alike, talk alike.
Yeah.
There is literally the only thing that would be a commonality is all of their IQs. Like they were
That's
really
amazing.
smart, witty.
That's so good to hear, because obviously you preserved. I feel sometimes, why am I damaged in
So
this department?
no, so I will tell you that this
Ah.
also stems from some kind of damage. So when I
No,
was
no, no.
growing
But
up
it's
as a
so
kid,
important.
no, I'll tell
for-
you why. I'll tell
okay.
you why. Like, hear me out. I'll tell you because when I was growing up, I have grown up with this intense sense of I am ugly throughout my life. I have always felt I'm hideous. I hate
Stupid.
looking at myself in the mirror. I hate. So I've always contended with that. And as a result of that, I think what has happened, and this is something that again, my therapist is therapy. My therapist kind of unspooled it for me. Is that
Ah.
maybe one of the ways in which your psyche chose to, deal with that is cut that criteria out of people you are looking for in a relationship. Like, that doesn't even matter. Is there a certain like subliminal, basic cutoff that we have? Of course we do. Like, there is, and I mean, I don't want to voice it because there's no way of voicing it without sounding, discriminatory. But if I have to say, do I have a type, or is there like a gross negative in terms of race, shape, body, this, that, hairy, not, blah, blah, blah. I think all of those things, the good looks, continuum kind of got divested. Like I did away with that, and very subliminally. I think that was my
So
way of
happy.
coping with.
Yeah.
But think about it. Every day, the reason I don't look for good looks is because I think I'm not good looking enough. So if I look for someone good looking, then they will not find me good looking enough. So that's what actually goes through. So,
Yeah.
I mean, somewhere down the line, I worked on it. I feel more confident about how
See,
I
but that
look.
at least has put you on the right track, no, Sunetro? Think about it.
Yeah,
My struggle
sure.
with
Sure.
constant-
Inadvertently.
Yeah, and not by choice maybe, but
Yeah.
your ability to see someone for their intellect, even if that's what it
Yeah.
is, and
Yeah.
whether it comes from a damaged space or something, is literally so vital to me right now. I would love nothing more than to do that. And it's not like I hang out with dunces or like really stupid,
Yeah.
idiotic people.
Yeah, yeah.
My main criteria in a person has now shifted to fundamentally nice. Are you a nice human being? That's it. Are you, and right from calling the waiter chut either out, that kind of person, to like, just, are you a nice person? Like, it's so important to me. But
that is such a great point.
Under this, but I fall under this looks problem so many times that I wish I had what you had, where I could first, and it's something that really stuck with me, something you brought to light once, you told me, and you asked me the question in such a way that it really stuck with me, and I need you to know that, which was once you repeatedly kept asking me that, why is it that the next person you meet, you have to meet them in the context of sex, or like, have to meet them with some kind of like, this has to lead to sex, or this has to turn into sex, or why can't you just meet anyone anymore with the basic reason is to just meet them? Like, why does it always have to have that? And I really want you to know that I'm glad you did that to me once, because it has kind of become a punctuation in my head, where I constantly, now I'm aware when I'm doing that, when I'm easily just talking to someone or trying to please them or trying to whatever online, just so that I know that I want sex out of them, I immediately, in some subliminal messaging kind of way, do think about what you said to me. And I get aware that, hey, that's what I'm doing, that this is nothing but sex to me, and right enough I will have sex with them and then I'll never call them, and then they'll think I'm an asshole because I was so invested before I met them, but the moment we are done I became this NSA guy, and I'm really guilty of that. A lot of times I really rub a lot of people the wrong way because I might sound in the start like I'm very like funny and I'm there and I'm here in this chat window chatting with you. And the moment sex has happened, I'm gone, you know? And I can totally imagine what a jerk that makes me so many times. But to hear you say that I wish that I could just understand, I could have that where instead of just appearance based and, oh, this means this person looks like this, so that means sex, I could shift that gear. And it is happening. I have to acknowledge I have kind of worked on that a little, where I'm starting to understand because I've been through it enough. You know, I feel in life, if you can't solve a problem, you live with that problem long enough to solve it then. And that has happened to me where I've fallen in this trap so many times now that I'm naturally starting to find, let's say one of my friends, he's actually, I love funny guys. Like I find funny guys extremely like attractive. I don't know why. A person with good wit, like a biting wit and a good sense of humor really turns me on immensely. Even then, if that person is not my type. But for example, one of my friends right now, I don't know if it's a friend, but again, one of the people I really want to get to know better once all of this is over, he has like this very tacky sense of humor, you know? And I love that. I love that about him. He's like cracking dad jokes at such a young age. You know what I mean? So I really do like that and I cherish that, and somehow the appearance does not matter to me. There's another person who, something that it's not appearance based, but something they do that I really like. So I'm starting to see a person more towards, again, who they are instead of how they are, you know? And it's occupied such a huge, even in this conversation, if you think about it, we've got an hour to talk about Mr. Right. Think about how much time we just ended up discussing because of me, the physical aspect of Mr. Right. And I really want to move away from that because I am myself, repeatedly, I have learned again and again in life that beauty fades away. I have for first hand 2-3 times learned, I have dated extremely attractive people, and I'm not saying that I found them attractive. I'm saying everybody told me, holy shit, your girlfriend is so fucking hot. Holy shit, your boyfriend is so fucking hot. So I used to get that kind of ego boost when people used to tell me that. But those relationships were so toxic that I actually, when I used to see that person, I used to not find them beautiful at all. I used to, because once you see the dark side or the evil side of a person, you realize that, oh my God, looks are so fleeting. So there's it's two sides of a coin, like where someone you might find hot, you might not find hot just because of something that's bad about them. So I've been directly aiming at the epicenter of niceness, that if a person is fundamentally nice, somehow I want them in my life, and then build on that, and probably again work towards it. And then if he ends up becoming Mr. Right in that sense, I would love to explore that. So that's what I am aiming for. But wow, I don't know how it's going to work with the way the world is and all. I have no idea what's in store or how, when Mr. Right will happen or all of that. But yeah. If you had to say what makes you think you're Mr. Right for someone else, is there, without assuming that makes you sound full of yourself or like cocky or anything, are there any qualities that you have that you feel that makes you perfect for someone else?
Never perfect. I'm very very like aware of all the limitations that I have.
See, but that means you're a vulnerable person. That makes you perfect. That you're aware of that. That makes you beautiful.
So I mean, what are things that are like good traits is I am very supportive of whatever my partners ask, not ask, whatever my partners embark on, like, their life goals, their dreams, their aspirations, and all of that. And I like pushing. I am not one of those, I'm not a yes man. Like I like challenging and pushing and asking and all of that is one. And I think another point I would maybe say is that I try my best to, because space is such a big need, a necessity for me, I try my best to kind of, balance the idea of having enough intimacy along with enough space. So,
Okay.
like in my mind, I think the ideal...
I know space is very important to you.
Yeah, like really important. So,
Yeah.
so I think just, someone who's looking for their own space, I think I would be very understanding of that situation. And like I think that is another point which I would very much
It's
like
beautiful.
to say.
No, both of them. And they're so valid. They're such valid things to look for in another person. Like because again, I felt like I've been supportive to a point where it's a fault. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
In the past, I remember once I was dating someone and he had the opportunity to move to London. Okay.
Mm.
And this was one of those relationships where he was way more into me than I was into him. But again, it was a great opportunity for him. And when he told me the news, my first thing was, I was so happy for him. And I instantly was like, when is this happening? When do you plan to? How do you plan to? And he got a little miffed that, wait, aren't you sad that I'm going to move away and that we are not going to long distance, obviously? But like, he got sad about it. And I was like, I was coming from a supportive space.
Of course, yeah.
Hey, you're gonna get a different kind of sunshine. You're going to be watered differently and you're going to grow better as a plant. You know what I mean? So, you know what I mean. Sometimes to a fault, I feel I'm supportive. And sometimes I over scrutinize that also, that am I trying to be too Gandhi about this, where I like to be like, here, Ja Simran, Ja Ji Le Apni Zindagi types. And not only, that was just one example, but in general, I have learned, again, in my past, and I'll tell you, my previous relationship wasn't perfect. We broke up, all of that, and things went bad, and all of those things happened. But there was one thing that I found of immense value. And here's the deal. I very recently found out that my ex actually listens to my podcast. He very cheekily told me that he listens to this. So I know he's going to hear this episode also. And I felt like I've never said the nice stuff. I've always said the bad stuff. And this is not like a hat tip to him. But I felt like, even though everything was wrong and he might have been imperfect in a lot of ways, I felt like he understood my sadness and my mental health in a way that nobody has been able to understand. Like you said, get out of bed, like the way he would handle me when I was having my manic depressive. And he's a person I met during my peak, when my bipolar peaked. I'm not kidding. It was at its worst. And again, I don't know how to say this, but I hope whoever's listening, if they go through serious mental stuff, like, and I don't want to say, bipolar is more serious than just depression and anxiety or whatever, but like, I felt like when my days were bad, like, don't draw the curtains, don't you dare. I just want to sit in the dark and like implode and, disappear, basically. I felt like my ex might have not done a lot of things right in life, and which led us to break up. But that one side of me he handled so well, and he somehow like was, you know what I mean? Like he absorbed that like a sponge.
Got it.
Like he absorbed that so well.
That's nice.
That I felt like, again, no regrets breaking up, all of that shit. But like, I knew that is vital to me in the future. Like for someone to give me that kind of space, that's the point I was getting at. The second point was that to give me that kind of space and that kind of, because I know for a fact that when people are going through very rough mental this, like when you're beyond clinical, and I'm talking like you're on lithium tablets now, you constantly drive yourself crazy thinking about why would anyone want to be in a relationship with me while I'm like this, And then when a person decides to stick around and actually does the work to knowing that someday you'll get better, so this is just temporary, I felt like that was a Mr. Right quality. Like if I had to say the first Mr. Right in this entire podcast episode, I felt like that was one thing that proved to be extremely vital to me, because even now, think about it, I've been not bipolar for like a good 3 years. And it flared up around 2 months ago, a month ago, where I started going off the rails. I had to get back into therapy. I had to go back into medication. And this time I'm at least happy that it's all happening while I'm single. So, I can deal with it and it's isolated and I don't have to like project it on anyone else in any way.
Yeah.
So that
so is there anything that's kind of changed in terms of, criteria that you used to stand for very passionately, like this is like my boyfriend, my partner, whoever definitely has to do this, like something that's changed?
Again, I feel like my answers are very, what's the word? Like a megalomaniac. Sometimes I think I'm one of those people. Like, I don't want to say narcissistic, but I feel like I think of me first so much that my answer always stems out of me first. But if there is one thing that is imperative, is this person should be able to experience me in Dolby Digital 4D IMAX,
No,
like,
got it. But I'm asking, has there been any criteria that's changed over time?
Not really. I feel like I've only got more easygoing the older I've gotten, because I'm dealing with so much lesser stuff now as I was when I was younger.
Clear.
That I feel like I'm a breeze to be with. Earlier I used to feel like मेरे को भी होता था थोड़ा jealousy, and मेरे को भी होता था थोड़ा like, like that kind of like irritating stuff that when you don't.
I'm not talking about things that like that are no's. I'm talking about things that are must-haves, like which possibly are, you look back and think, really? Did I really? Was I so strict?
You're talking about me, not what I expect from someone else.
From someone else.
Okay, what I expect from
Mr.
someone
Right.
else.
Yeah.
That it has to be perfect. Just the ability to understand me, because sometimes.
And you don't care about that anymore?
I do.
Ari, that's what I'm asking. No, that is there any point that you feel like you used to
that I
stress
wanted
upon
first
that?
and now I don't anymore?
Yeah.
That I already brought that up in a way, which was this upper hand shit. I don't think I do that anymore. I really, like you said, I don't want someone to put me on a pedestal, or I don't want to put someone on a pedestal anymore. Or, I just want to be like, hey, we've crossed paths. We are in each other's lives. And how can we make this work and make this better and make this... I don't think very ground level stuff.
No, I get it.
Makes it sounds like not a relationship. But you've learned that, right? You know what I mean when I say make this work, because relationships are work. I've said that it should be a t-shirt. I've said that so many times. It's a 24/7 job. So that's one thing I would definitely strive for. And I know I won't try to like, it's my way or the highway. I know that about me, because I literally want someone who can just be on my level with me, on my frequency, which is again a lot to ask for, by the way. But I just want that kind of like, we are here. There's some sort of like level on which we both like exist. And there will be ups and downs and whatever, but like we'll somehow always come back to that level. Yeah. Is there something you hated about yourself that now... you loved about yourself major, that now you don't?
No, as in not loved about myself. This is not even about me. One criteria I used to think of was obviously there have to be similarities in terms of, your tastes and humor and pop culture similarities. But there used to be a point of time when I was almost a stickler that if this person doesn't like so and so film, then matlab clearly this doesn't work for me. If this person doesn't like fantasy, then matlab, oh my god.
Still do that.
If this person doesn't like Lord of the Rings, then fuck you. I mean, honestly, this used to be, and I used to carry this along, not realizing that my most significant relationship, she would try things out, but she would still be like, this is just too much fantasy for me, and this is not for me. Like, show me something a little more real. Or like my intense passion for like great horror, she was like, I don't care about horror. So I never realized that, okay, so I really had a great relationship with someone who clearly, like, we match in terms of our takes on pop culture. But it's not like this person's talking Oscars, this person's talking Emmys, like the way, speaking of Emmys, yay, Schitt's Creek.
I know. Oh my God, I was going to say that at the end, like a minor victory.
I mean, firstly, Schitt's Creek, secondly, Watchmen. And thirdly, RuPaul's Drag Race, like for the community, like I'm just saying, because like, oh my God.
One, but sure.
Sorry?
No, you lost me on the last one, but Schitt's Creek and Watchmen, I was exhilarated when they won. Like, I was like, great. And Succession.
I mean, RuPaul's Drag Race has won the best host 5 years in a row now. And the best competitive reality show, this is the fourth year in a row. So, I mean, it's doing something right.
Okay.
I mean, it's right? Like, it's they have like a Holland now. They have a Canada version now.
Yeah. I've noticed there's a new Indian drag queen. Am I right? Like
Canada just
non-American.
Okay, like in the American one there are none. But
Priyanka.
I'm just like, spoiler alert. Drag Race Canada winner. The first winner is an Indian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen her. She's gorgeous.
Gorgeous. And super funny. Like, super funny and like...
okay.
Yeah. But yeah, so coming back to what I was saying, that, it's all right if, my partner isn't speaking the same pop culture language all the fucking time the way I do, because I have some other level of insane, like, obsession with this world. And it's okay if they have their own obsessions, which I'm not part of. Yeah. So I think that's one thing I've really like understood. And
dude, I felt that last year towards the end, where I was kind of starting to develop feelings for this guy. Okay. And he loves horror movies too. But his idea of horror movies are what? Annabelle, Conjuring, Vesa type. And I'm like, okay, cool. You like horror? I love horror. And I don't know why I thought it would be a great idea. I was like, you've not seen Midsommar? Okay, let me show you Midsommar. And in the first 15 minutes, he said, "Ugh, this is so slow. Ugh, this is so
oh my God."
And dude, all my feelings went out the window in 1 second.
No, so that's what I think. I think one of the things I've realized is I don't need to, partake in pop culture.
That's
together.
not a criteria.
No. One is, my thing is, and in order for me to be okay with someone's taste, it's okay for me not to partake it together. Because the moment that will happen, this judgment will creep in. I know it. So that's why I keep that like severely apart. Instead, for example, we watch things which I'm sure, like, which I'm sure of in terms of it will check the buckets for both of us. And there is definitely stuff that checks the buckets for both of us. So, so I do that. Like, I don't feel the pressing need that I need to show this person, like Mulholland Drive, and this person... I'm sure it can be fucking annoying for one. Let me not like, imagine if someone wants to show me, I don't know, like a football movie that, like, Chariots of Fire, okay? Like an Oscar-winning film like Chariots of Fire. I'd be bored as fuck. So it's unfair if someone like pushes it on me. So I kind of... That's like
actually a very niche thing, because I totally relate to what you're saying too. It's very quick for me, like, and me and you especially, like you and I, talking about you and I, not anybody else, but we have our own proper pop culture journeys.
Absolutely.
And sometimes I don't even make the effort anymore to ask someone, have you seen 10-15 or Penis?
Penis.
I don't even ask people there, because I know, I'm too indie now for you. Like, So that kind of dismissal, sometimes I feel like, Farhad, tu kaun sa high horse pe baitha hai?
Exactly. No, there used to be a point when, there's so much hate that Kristen Stewart gets, for example, or Robert Pattinson gets because of Twilight. I absolutely love the two of them because of their post-Twilight careers, both of them, the kind of choices they've made.
Absolutely.
And
Robert
like,
Pattinson,
I used to enjoy getting into heated arguments with people who would say shit like that, and I would be like, तू आ मेरे सामने बैठ में दिखाता तेरे को. And now I'm just like,
can I tell you, I used to be one of those people who used to make the Twilight jokes. And then I saw Good Time, and I never made fun of Robert Pattinson after that.
Seriously.
I was like, no. Some people say Water for Elephants, but for me it was Good Time.
No, like for me, Good Time, then freaking what's
Lighthouse.
That? Lighthouse. Like, come on.
I joked off in Lighthouse. Do you know that? I rewinded that scene where he jokes off.
Yeah.
Oh, I was just so blown away by that movie.
What a
in fact, tonight I'm watching that new Robert Pattinson movie on Netflix. I've not seen it with Tom.
Devil All the Time.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah. I've heard great things about it, so I thought I'll watch it.
I haven't watched it yet. I'm still on. That's my. Like I said, the last few days have been Mondays back to back for me, so I want to do that.
You know what?
By the way,
is a Mr. Right. Robert Pattinson is Mr. Right. And now he's even Batman.
Okay, this is a fun question. If you had to, like construct for like, let's say an alien species that parts of this and through pop culture,
using celebrities and
celebrities or characters.
Yeah.
Who would be your, let's say, maybe an amalgamation of...
Okay, but tell me criteria. So, appearance?
No, as in, that's what I'm saying. It could be whatever you wanted it to be.
No, but tell me list criteria because I can... Okay, so...
No, that's what I'm saying. It has to be your criteria.
Got it. Okay.
If looks are, then sure.
Okay, if looks, then... I want to say Jason. How can I say, dude, I'm all over the scale. I was going to say Jason Momoa, Timothy Chalamet. Now look at the scale. What do they fall on?
But that's what I mean. You have to. That's why I'm not talking about if I'm talking about a celebrity, let's talk about personalities rather than like a 2D like looks. Let's talk about personalities. Like someone you figured the personality of in terms of their media.
Why don't you go first? I'll get a better idea of how to answer my question. Trust me. Like your super group.
So there, at one point of time, I used to think Brian Kinney, and then I grew out of it because I figured that he's an asshole, and then I wanted to be Brian Kinney, and then I grew out of it too because I realized he's still an asshole.
Okay.
No, that's again not a man. Like I'm not a balls and peen guy in any case.
I'm trying to be funny. Okay. Yeah.
So what I like is the vulnerability as well as the confidence that someone like a Will Truman has, like in terms of he's self-sufficient. He does things himself.
Will Truman as in
Will and Grace. Will and Grace. Yeah.
Okay.
But at the same time, if I'm looking at just the disarming goofiness that Dan Levy has, like that for me is like I think Dan Levy as Will Truman with his goofiness, because Will was very like perfectionist, and if I take that perfectionism away from him, and I'm not talking about David, I'm talking about Dan Levy. So, so Dan Levy in, let's say, with Will Truman's, self-sufficiency sort of a thing, I think that would be my.
I like his wit more. He's very witty, Dan Levy.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's interviews and stuff,
and so self-deprecatory because that is another thing that disarms me. That disarms.
This is the only that Vogue 72 questions that I actually sat through all the 72 questions. Everyone else, I'm like, fuck it. He's and Noel Gallagher. They are the only 72 questions I sat through.
Got it. But who's yours? Who's yours? Go on, kya? Mera ho gaya.
I have way more criteria. I felt like I'm about to make like an elephant.
We have 5 minutes. We have 5 minutes.
Oh my God. Okay, so I'm going to get looks out of the way. Okay. Yeah. I want... I'm just going to succumb to my twink fascination with the face of Timothy Chalamet and Troye Sivan combined. Okay?
But that's not a person. Oh, sure. If it's yours, then sure.
I'm just going to go through the obvious first. Okay? The body mix of Jason Momoa and that other dude in Black Panther. Not the one who just died, Chadwick Boseman. Who's the guy? Michael B. Jordan.
Got it.
Okay? That's the body. But now in terms of personality traits, I want the goofiness of Jack Black. Okay, I love like Jack Black type goofiness, like stupid.
Yeah.
I want shit. I have no other criteria. Tell me criteria, no, Sunetru. I'll tell you.
और क्या बोलूं? मतलब I don't know, like career, like the kind of career someone would have.
Okay, Chris Pratt is a good overall because he's goofy, he's good looking, he's everything in that sense.
Got it.
Somewhere I want to throw in Tom Hanks, but I don't know what I want to throw Tom Hanks in for. But there is something about Tom Hanks I've always found
which is very affable.
Yeah, there's something very like his roles or the dedication of Tom Hanks maybe to his art, basically. That's one thing.
Got it.
Yeah, the seriousness of Robert Pattinson. Yeah, for sure. I love that kind of seriousness he has. It's important to me.
He's quite goofy, by the way.
I know.
He's really not serious.
He's hilarious.
He's anything but serious. He's such a goofball. Like, I don't care.
Again, I'm getting confused between their online and their offline persona, and I'm trying to go for the more online, on air, not online, but like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I find there's some kind of like, I don't know, like Jake, I'll keep saying names, but Jake Gyllenhaal and Robert Pattinson in terms of seriousness, when they've been serious in movies. I like some level of mix of seriousness and goofy a lot.
Got it.
And that's a very contrasting thing to look for in one human being. But I am that. I tend to be very serious and I tend to be extremely goofy at the same time. So that's my elephant man.
Got it.
like a
oh my God, I just realized both Dr. Manhattan's won an Emmy today.
Yeah.
like, fuck. I was thinking about this one. Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
This week, by the way. You'd be happy to know. Because my flatmate has not seen it. So I was like...
Oh, you should watch Lovecraft Country. Just like, it is another stunning HBO presentation. It is something else. Beautiful.
Okay. My revelation this week was Penis. Like, I don't know what it is. For whoever is listening, there's a show called Penis, but obviously they couldn't say penis, so it's called
I know.
It made my week in some way. Even though it's not the funniest or the best show around, there's something so lovable. It's like fresh off the boat. It's not the funniest show, but it's just the characters, and like if you're an 80s, 90s kid, you have to watch that show. Penis. So that's we ended with a recommendation.
Yes, which strange to say. The recommendation was penis.
sorry. I just want to circle back to one thing quickly. Do you, in any way, wait for a Mr. Right? Just to go back to our topic a little. Do you wait for a Mr. Right?
No.
Right?
Are you saying, do I keep certain people on hold wishing that something better is on the way?
That happens, right? Like, the right guy will come along.
No, like for me, if I don't, like, I look for a very gut reaction. Like, I feel it inside. If I don't feel it, then it's okay. And if I feel it, then I will go ahead.
Great, which is a great point, because in the end, it's like, so you don't wait for someone. It's always about someone coming into your life.
I do wait till I'm in a better shape of mind. That's what I wait for. Because I know there are times when I am not ready to kind of wreak havoc on other people's lives. Like, I know that. So absolutely. I wait for.
Yeah.
That I wait.
That's a very treacherous road, but we'll save that for some other time. I had to unpack that in therapy a lot, where I felt like I need to, before I get into a relationship, I need to change. And then I realized that I'm constantly changing. So I just decided that, you know what, I don't need another person. And that's been a very tricky road for me, at least. Yeah, but I felt like, Mr. Right is not something because again, Bollywood and your parents and the way society is skewed, it is something that happens to you, you know?
Yeah, true.
And I have learned enough to know that it never happens to you. It never falls in your lap. you somehow take what you got and then you make it perfect, which is such a cliche, but like, so everybody can be a Mr. Perfect. I've learned that if you work it the right way and you invest in it the right way and you work towards it the right way, basically. Yeah, that's my final 2 bits on that.
Yes.
It's dinner time.
Yeah. So hope you guys have a great week ahead. Another week under lockdown. It's tiring to say that even, but yeah,
Let's
just
not even say it.
Yeah. Like fuck that shit now. But but keep yours. Actually, don't even keep your spirits up and hopes high and shit like that. Just live your life, man. Like,
what a fun note to end on, Sunetro.
Yeah, kuch bhi karo,
guys. Kill all your inner joy.
Kuch bhi karo. Mere ko kya hai? Do whatever the fuck you guys
that's
want.
That's how Salman Khan ends every Big Boss episode. You know that?
I don't even want to
do whatever you want to do, man. That's what he says. It's his tagline. I'm so excited. I hope someone loves me, and I hope Mr. Right is not listening to this, but Big Boss starts on October 3rd. I am ecstatic. Throughout this lockdown, I've been praying it would start.
Great.
So okay, bye. Okay, bye.
Yes. On that note, yes.
Thanks for listening, guys. Any topic suggestions, send them our way. We'll see you next week. This is it from GAYBCD. Okay, bye.
Hi, my name is Anupam Gupta. I'm B50 on Twitter. I am the host of Paisa Vaisa, the show that talks money. On my show, I speak to experts from every field of money and finance, from stock markets, equities, debt funds, credit cards, life insurance, every possible area of money and finance that you can think of. We even did an episode on cryptocurrency. I've got fantastic guests from mutual funds to personal finance experts everywhere. Robo-advisory, startups, just name it, we've got it. At Paisa Vaisa, we help you make smart decisions about money. You work hard for money. Now make your money work hard for you. New episodes out every Monday, and you can listen to my show on the IVM Podcast app or any other podcasting app that you have.
Are you constantly seeking happiness? Wondering how to make the most of every day? How not to let your inhibitions stop you from achieving your goals? It's now time to get your A game on. It's time to unlock your true potential. Tune in to the Empowering series with me, Zarina Poonawalla, to feel empowered in all genres of life. From behavioral skills to management skills. From health to relationships. From mental well-being to emotional well-being. And of course, your finances. I've got you covered. With these tips and tricks from me, Zarina, and true life stories from my amazing guests, you're bound to bring your purest to the table. Tune in to the Empowering series with Zarina Poonawalla every Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you listen to podcasts.